What is up, everyone? Welcome to another podcast here on the channel. I am Jeffrey Kirby. We are brought to you by Revolution Radio. If you have a Facebook, first and foremost, make sure to go on your Facebook and type in Revolution Radio Live. And make sure to go and smash that like button over there. And if you don't have one as well, well, then you could go and follow us on Twitter at Rev Radio Live. That is REVRADIOLIVE. Now we got that out of the way. How's everyone doing tonight? Obviously, I think this is our first podcast being live. Here in 2022, we did the live stream on Monday where we live reacted to that Browns-Steelers game, that was beautiful. That was a way to send possibly Ben Roethlisberger out in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. There was no other way about it. Now, we got to talk a little bit as well. We got a decent amount to get into tonight. Make sure, if you got anything you got to say, make sure I'm going to be keeping track of the chat all night as well. And we're going to get into a little bit of the Ben Roethlisberger, talk a little bit about that game, talk about how also maybe there's a possibility that we might have ended Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. Maybe not really, but I guess in a way so. TJ Watt is very close from hitting Michael Strahan's single-season sack record. Former Pittsburgh Steeler Antonio Brown making himself, or should I say Antonio Clown, being a circus act once again. Nothing new there. But let's go ahead and let's get started here. So this game on Monday that we saw, Browns-Steelers, was a game that, in a way, for the Cleveland, it didn't matter. They were eliminated from the playoffs. The only thing they cared about was trying to send Ben Roethlisberger out on his way in a quote-unquote devastating loss. Now, first and foremost as well, there was a lot of fans that were actually hoping that Ben Roethlisberger got hurt. They were hoping that Myles Garrett was going to hurt Ben Roethlisberger, which I just find hysterical. I find hilarious because at the end of the day, they just sound so bitter. That's what it is. And yes, there were some Browns fans, including mostly, I think, my friends that were looking at that game and saying, all right, look, I think part of it, too, is they knew how emotional I was going to be, and I know a lot of people were emotional. If you've been a Steeler fan for any period of time, especially for the fan base, including myself, that only knew Ben Roethlisberger as the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, for me, I became a fan in 2004. So that's all I knew. And it's tough. It's tough seeing your quarterback that you've had for 18 years finally have his last rodeo at home. But it was nice. It was nice to just beat the hell out of Cleveland once again. Because all they've been doing, all they did at the beginning of the year, all off season, especially me, I swear, if I had $1 for every time I mentioned that I am from Cleveland, I would probably be in a multi-million-dollar house somewhere in, I don't know, Florida or wherever the hell else you want to name. But obviously I am from Cleveland, so all of my friends, IRL, are Browns fans. I had to watch that wild card game with all my Browns fan friends. That was absolute hell. I'm pretty sure I was drunk. I'm pretty sure what happened was that snap went over Ben Roethlisberger's head, and I started downing vodka or whiskey or whatever the hell it was, like it was no tomorrow, like it was water. Probably some for you as well. We were all getting hell all week. You get Mr. Weirdo himself, Nick Carnes, all he does on Twitter. I'm starting to wonder if he was actually a closet Steeler fan, because all he was doing, and in fact, I'm going to turn myself down a little bit. There we go. all he does is tweet about Ben Roethlisberger, tweet about the Steelers, and you ask yourself, sir, A, do you have a life? Do you have a job? And are you sure that you're not a fan of the black and gold instead of the dirty-ass brown and orange? I mean, it was just insanity. And I just don't get it with some of them. But it was nice to finally hear them shut the hell up once and for all. That one little game that they had, cool. Every squirrel gets a nut once in a great while. Every blind person is going to make a right step once in a while. I mean, hell, I just, it was just nice to see them shut the hell up. It was nice to see them in shambles, which, by the way, again, fun fact, the reason why I know this is because this popped up in my Facebook mentions, or in my Facebook memories, was also 4 years ago was their little 0-16 parade. That was wonderful, but, all right, we're all for that. Let's get back to the game. TJ Watt. Do I need to say any more? I mean, my God. Actually, here, let me pull up. Let me just pull up just that game itself here. Let me go to the schedule here. Please hold. Boom. There we go. All right. So just look at this game, and what was funny too about this game as well was the fact that Ben Roethlisberger threw 46 times, but only completed 123 yards. He completed, it was like 2-point-something yards per catch. It was insanity. It was actually kind of funny to see that when you really break it down. Najee Harris, by far having his best game of his career. 28 carries for 188 yards and a touchdown. It was, and then on top of that, he also had 3 catches for 18 yards. It was also kind of weird to see Ray-Ray McCloud was the leading receiver with yards. He had 4 receptions for 35 yards. Deontay Johnson not even averaging 4 yards a catch is kind of interesting as well. He was 15 targets, 8 catches for 31 yards, and a touchdown as well. Which, by the way, I do need to say, speaking of touchdowns, for anyone who had to or who played against Najee Harris in your fantasy football championship, it lost because of that final touchdown. I apologize because I really thought he was just going to kneel down and call it a day. I didn't think he was actually going to go into the end zone. But, I mean, I guess for those that benefited from that, won money because of it, well, congratulations. But yeah, Najee Harris, he was an absolute monster, averaging almost 7 yards per carry, which is pretty incredible. And he had 188 yards on the ground. If I'm not mistaken, 181 of those yards came after contact. Which, whew, I know I've been on record about Najee Harris and how I felt about the Steelers drafting him and this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm going to love him regardless, and obviously we all are loving him, and he's going to be a beast. The city embraces running backs. We embraced, obviously, Jerome Bettis. We loved him before then, Franco Harris. Now you had Le'Veon Bell. Willie Parker. We even embraced Rashard Mendenhall, and then Le'Veon. Well, obviously Le'Veon Bell being time. James Conner. We absolutely loved because of the fact that he also played for the Pittsburgh Panthers. And then obviously now we're all loving Najee Harris. We love our running backs, and he's going to be a stud for years to come. Although it's going to bring up the question of how much is the amount of touches that he got this year going to be sustainable? Yet again, well, we also see Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry I also think is the exception and not the rule. Just a little bit else in this game as well. You were down some players as well. You were down Devin Bush. You were down. I'm forgetting who else, but I'm lost my mind. But just real quick on the defensive side of the football, Ahkello Witherspoon had himself an absolute game. Where did he at? I know he had an interception as well. He had 3 passes defended, and then on top of that, with the interceptions, he had himself a very good game. And on top of that, and then you have the passes batted down. The whole entire defensive line they were doing a wonderful job. What's up? How you doing today? Stop Motion Panda Studios. Also, they just had an incredible game. And then there's TJ Watt. TJ Watt, and I have a gripe to pick. And this is something that I'm not the only person that's probably going to have this gripe, because it's just so annoying with what Pro Football Focus has been trying to do in this narrative. I think they're trying to pull with TJ. So on the day, he had 5 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks, and 2 passes deflected, and 5 QB hits at that. That man is the amount. I mean, what he's done this year is incredible. For me, I was only 2 years old when Michael Strahan had that record for most sacks in a season at 21.5. So this is the best that I've ever seen in terms of just defensive pass rushers. And for some, this might be the same for you as well. Then on top of that, Alex Highsmith, he had himself a game too. 7 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits. Which I'm going to have to reach out to Mr. Sam, because I want to try to get him on again. I think we're going to try I want to get him on when Caleb is on with me, because as far as I'm concerned right now, he's going to be on with me. It should be next week, in the next couple weeks. Life happens. It's also that transition time with school and all that. Life happens. It happens. But yeah, it just everyone, for the most part, and this honestly seems like, I'll get to your comment here in a second. This honestly seems like the first, I guess, complete game for the Steelers. I know we didn't really do much on the passing side of things. The running attack was great, and then defensively, we just looked. When this defense plays like this is a top defense in the NFL. But the issue is they weren't playing up to par. They were playing like it was. I don't get it. They were terrible in the run, in terms of run defense. They were last in the NFL, which I kind of get with Tyson Alualu and Stephon Tuitt being out. Which, who's to say that? I don't know if Tyson, or not Tyson Alualu, if Stephon Tuitt is going to be back next year. That's going to be a conversation to have in terms of contracts and cap. You said Watt deserves Defensive Player of the Year more than anyone. Yes. Everyone, I believe, is agreeing with this. Except Cowboys fans and apparently everyone from Pro Football Focus. And that's where I have a gripe. What Pro Football Focus has, this whole thing, and you see everyone there, they talk about how they're pretty much saying that sacks are overrated, all these other stats that TJ Watt is dominating in is overrated because of their metrics. First and foremost, honestly, let's look at it this way. Okay, you have double team rate, pass block win rate, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I get it. And it's weird, too, when you're an outside line. When you're Myles Garrett, for an example, and I'm going to use him as the example because Myles Garrett is, when we talk about pass rushers, it's him and it's Myles Garrett and it's TJ Watt. When we talk about those two. You also will see TJ Watt go out into coverage. maybe once or twice a year, it seems like you'll see Myles Garrett go out into coverage. TJ Watt, you're going to say, and although I don't like it, although once in a great while it's okay, because it can really mess things up. And when you have a smart player like TJ Watt, like the one pass deflection that he had, and then he started yapping at Baker Mayfield, which I absolutely loved. I love that so much. But you saw that he did not rush the passer at all. He just kind of stood there, waited for Baker. He baited Baker Mayfield to throw that football. He did, batted it down, and then basically, I wish I was a bug on someone's helmet that knew what the hell TJ Watt said, because that got me hyped. And if you watched that live stream that I did on Monday, that was a hell of a stream as well. That was so fun to do, and that's definitely going to be something I want to do more next year. Maybe it all depends on what the playoffs and the Super Bowl, because, obviously when you get to a Super Bowl, you typically have like a party of some sort. It'll all be based on what happens and this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. If we can make it work, maybe I will. Maybe I'll bring a guest or two with me. We'll have fun with it. We'll work something out. But just with this game itself, yeah, Baker Mayfield, he honestly possibly might have played his worst game of the year. 16 of 38, 148 yards, or 185 yards. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. That last pick at the very, very end, which was so clutch, because it was nice to be able to see Ben Roethlisberger go out on the field one last time to just, go in victory formation and really soak in all the memories, soak in the fans, soak in the crowd, because honestly, I hate so much that I wasn't able to go to that game. For those that did go to that game, and I know a lot of people that did, I'm jealous of you, and I honestly hope you guys had an incredible time, and I think that right there is going to be a game that you will remember for the rest of your life. Obviously, you remember all the games that you go to, even if you've been to a million, but that seemed like a game that will always stick out, especially with the fact that you beat Cleveland, Ben Roethlisberger, the owner of Cleveland, again, just beats him once again, and it was a great moment. That was just a picture perfect way for the Cowboy to have one last rodeo. Now, here's something that was a little bit surprising by me, and I mentioned this in the live stream, and I know I was listening to Cleveland radio throughout the week because it was just great to see just how miserable their fans were, and the media here was. And this was a question for me too, and this was something I was very fearing of, and the fact that they didn't do this is wonderful. It's the fact that they didn't implement Nick Chubb more. Because as I just mentioned earlier, this defense was the worst in football in terms of rush defense. And you have Nick Chubb, who's a top 2 or 3 running back in terms of rushing yards this year in the NFL. And you're thinking, okay, they have a great offensive line, although they were a little bit banged up, but the interior part of that offensive line was intact. That would be where they attack. No, they decided to give the ball to Baker Mayfield 38 times, which made no sense, but we'll take it, because at the end of the day, it just honestly, with the way this defense was playing, TJ Watt going one-on-one with a rookie right tackle, third-string right tackle, and James Hudson, and then hell, even Alex Highsmith was having a field day against their rookie or their second-year left tackle Jedrick Wills, so that was nice to see as well. But yeah, just to see them have 20 total rushes in a team that's supposed to be their identity. But thank you very much to Kevin Stefanski, and whoo, buddy. Let's just say things are getting interesting in Cleveland, but we don't care about them. They're in shambles. That's usually what happens. We have our own things to worry about because we're still technically not out of the playoffs yet. Now, for those that don't know, what needs to have happen for the Steelers to make the playoffs for this week or after this week is You obviously need to beat Baltimore, where Lamar Jackson did not practice today. It's looking like he might not play, depending on that ankle, because that ankle was pretty damn messed up from that second Cleveland game that they had. Yep, let's go Jags. You need the Jags to beat the Colts. The Colts are a 15.5-point favorite last time I checked, but it seems like Jacksonville always plays Indianapolis well in Jacksonville. So we'll see. That was a close game earlier this year. So let's just hope that they can pull out some miracle. And the last thing that needs to have happen is that Sunday night game between the Raiders and the Chargers. It cannot end in a tie. That's all. Doesn't matter which team wins. Just cannot end in a tie. So, is it doable? Yeah. For the first time, I think, in my life, I might have to be a Trevor Lawrence fan because I never really liked him just because of the fact that I don't know, there was just something about him that I never liked. But, we're going to have to start yelling out Duval. We're going to have to start pulling out the Urban Meyer quarter zip Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to have to take back all the hatred that we had for them in 2017 when they basically kicked our ass twice, which honestly started to feel like the beginning. Well, didn't feel like it, but it ended up kind of being the beginning of the end. Because after that year, 2018, you didn't make the playoffs. 2019, you didn't make the playoffs. We also didn't have Ben Roethlisberger. And then we all know what happened in 2020 and this year. But yeah, just this game itself, it was so wonderful. And it was also cool. I did get a couple new subscribers, so I do appreciate all those who did subscribe. We are currently at, 224? Last I checked here. Let me check that because I just have the YouTube suit. Yep, we're at 224. So also, if you haven't yet, please do me a favor and if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the red subscribe button. It's real easy and it's free. And also, be sure to send this to your friends, especially if you have a bunch of Steeler friends. But we don't do just Steeler stuff. What we're going to be, we do a lot of different reactions to certain games. We'll have the Browns, or if that game's good, I always do the Steelers game, and then what other game is good that week. So we do multiple reactions as well. So we don't just do Steelers and obviously when Caleb is with me, that's when we start implementing more Penguins and Pirates. Not necessarily the Pirate stuff as of late, because we don't know what the hell's going on with baseball, but that'll definitely be something that we'll get into later on in the winter when we start getting more information about the whole lockout, whether the season's even going to happen. And then the Penguins, let's be honest, me trying to talk Penguins would be like a 2-year-old trying to do chemistry. That's as I just got a text from one of my Browns fans about something funny that happened with Baker Mayfield on Twitter, former Browns legend DeShone Kizer, but that was funny. So shout out to Hunter for that. But yeah, me trying to talk Pittsburgh Penguins hockey would basically be like a newborn trying to do chemistry. Not going to go out well for you. But obviously he should be back next week. We'll get into some of that. We'll get into some of the Penguin stuff. And obviously we also got something else that we need to get into as well in terms of Antonio Brown, the former Steeler. Now, I want to show you, let me pull these up here. So I have a couple tweets that I want to show you. And now these are from Adam Schefter. And if you don't know what I am talking about, basically, Antonio Brown, there was a video of him just walking, or basically taking off his shoulder pads and running off on the sideline. Pretty much, he's still on the field at one point of time, and it was just hilarious. And you ask yourself, what the hell is going on, or what caused this? And then there's been all this he said, she said, blah, 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 blah. So here's what Adam Schefter, this was a tweet from earlier today, right now. Okay. So there's a thread here, so we're going to go through all this. So Adam Schefter says, last week, Antonio Brown and his agent requested that the $2 million in incentives in his contract for this season be guaranteed, per the Bucs GM Jason Light, or whatever, I can't pronounce. The team declined to guarantee those incentives. Now, the incentives were very doable. They were very doable. Okay. So one of my other favorite YouTubers were going live. Alrighty. Now, and then you go here, Adam Schefter tweets, Antonio Brown did not tell anyone on the Bucs medical staff about his ankle bothering him on game day before the game against the Jets. Buccaneers made, they call, reasonable accommodations to bring this matter to a close early this week if, in fact, Antonio Brown had an injury from the game and the wide receiver declined to cooperate. Bucs could have the Bucs could have set up those appointments in Tampa, but they knew Brown was in New York, and they believed they were trying to oblige him. Brown and his agent declined to send the Bucs his medical information from the doctor visit this week. Still have not returned their phone calls. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there was one more tweet about. Okay, there was not. So there's that, and then this was a statement from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was per Adam Schefter. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have terminated the contracts of Antonio Brown effective immediately. While Antonio did receive treatment on his ankle and was listed on the injury report the week leading up to last Sunday's game, he was cleared by our medical team prior to the start of the game, and at no point during the game did he indicate to our medical personnel that he could not play. We have attempted multiple times throughout this week to schedule an evaluation by an outside orthopedic specialist, yet Antonio has not complied. Maintaining the health and wellness of our players is of the utmost importance to the organization. Now it becomes a part of, who do you believe at this point? Do you believe in are you believing Antonio Brown because there was part of it that they were trying to blackball him in terms of not trying to get his incentives, which there have been rumors that has happened before. I know notably Victor Cruz had that happen to him before. So you're like, okay, maybe, but I personally didn't buy that. And then Antonio Brown's attorneys came up with this long-ass statement about it, which we all knew Antonio Brown had nothing to do with, because yet again, I don't even know if he could read or if he could write all that well. We don't know. But it's just insane what's going on with this whole situation. And it becomes a question of, is that the end of Antonio Brown? Because when you look at who he was as a Pittsburgh Steeler, he was an absolute dog. And I mean, hell, even at his time in Tampa Bay, he was still good for him. If I'm not mistaken, he caught a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, which that kind of hurt. But I mean, well, yeah, actually, no, it didn't, because I remember I was like, all right, whatever, cool. For some, it might have. But you have to ask yourself the question of just, what the hell is going on? My man Chocolate was good. Shout out to the man with a passion. Pit, not a palace. Hey, you're damn right. What's good, my guy? How you doing? First and foremost, when the hell are you going to be at work again? By the way, Jeff Edmond, he's my good friend. I also work with him. Yeah, when the hell are you going to get into work? I'm not sure if I can see another team going to giving him another chance. I think, honestly, the only team that I could see giving him an opportunity just because of the culture there is Kansas City. But I don't know. Because Andy Reid is that kind of coach, and we all know Kansas City is that kind of team. Because when you have that great of a culture, that's why coaches like Bill Belichick can bring those guys in. Because they feel like they could either keep them as good, or just what the hell with it. You're not part of us. Move on, and are going to continue to be dominant. It is the 7th. We'll see, though. I might take it. You might take instead of T.O.'s spot. Man, listen. Hold on. Can we talk about the fact that this dude Terrell Owens has been trying to get back in the NFL for how long now? A decade? I mean, my God, how old is he? Like, he dead ass pretty soon is gonna start looking like the comparison of Uncle Drew in the movie. He's gonna be that damn old. He's gonna start having gray hair, although he does still look in phenomenal shape. And you know what's funny is you bring up Terrell Owens, and you always get the comparison brought up about Antonio Brown and Terrell Owens, and talk about how they were similar in terms of diva, blah 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 blah. I mean, let's look at it this way: Terrell Owens broke his ankle, and then 6 weeks played in the Super Bowl and played pretty damn well with screws in his ankle. And there should have been no way in hell he plays that well, and he did. And you have to give mad respect to that for Terrell Owens. He's 48. I had to go look. God damn! Pretty soon he about to be 50. Jesus Lord. But yeah, just this whole thing with Antonio Brown is insane. Also, I gotta find, let me go and look through my likes, because I had something that was interesting throughout the week. And also, while I'm at it here, this whole thing with what happened with the Washington football team in that stadium, that just sounds like they would, that just doesn't surprise me at all. Okay, apparently I did not see. Alrighty. Alright, I guess not. But yeah, Antonio Brown, as of, he was not released right away, but he was released, earlier today, so he is official. I think it was actually waived, so he is on waivers, but obviously no one's going to claim him, and so it'll be just a matter of now, is he going to box someone? Is he going to be the next victim for Jake Paul or Logan Paul or whatever the hell Paul or whatever the hell celebrity boxing that we got going on around? I mean, my God. But on top of that, I mean, real quick, we could break down this last game here between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Again, Baltimore is absolutely banged up. And and also, can we talk about how Najee Harris is 4th in rushing yards in the NFL this year? 4th is pretty damn insane. You have Jonathan Taylor at 1734, Joe Mixon at 1205, where he's not playing. He's not going to play on Sunday. Nick Chubb with 1201, and Najee Harris with 1172. What's your take on TJ Watt with the 20-plus sack season? His brother is the only one with more than one season with such accolade. Do you think it'll happen again for him? And what's your guess on the Washington football team's name? So in terms of the football team's name, I can't necessarily say too much because I have a source that knows the name already, which I've been told. But I mean that they believe is going to be the name, so I kind of have to keep that private. But in terms of TJ, in terms of the sack season, it's pretty damn incredible. And everyone says, "Oh, it took an extra." You have the extra game now. You have 17 games, but TJ really only did it in it says 14, but in reality, it seems like it's like 12 or 13 games, which. And do I think he could do it again? Absolutely. I mean, you look at this season, he missed multiple games this year with a groin, with a knee. He's dealt with cracked ribs. So he's dealt with... But when he's on, I mean, my God, this dude is ridiculous. I know a lot of people weren't happy with the Najee pick, but no, it seems like it was 100% worth it. I'm going to get into that here in one moment. So stay with me here, and I'm going to get into that. So just look at, let's go to game log here for TJ Watt in 2021. So you start off against Buffalo. 2 sacks. Great. Had a hell of a game. And then you have Las Vegas. He had a sack, but he ended up missing that second half. Did not play that second game, or he did not play week 3 against Cincinnati. Week 4 against Green Bay, he had 2 sacks. Week 5 against Denver, he didn't have a sack, but he ended up coming out with the victory there. Seattle, he had 2 sacks. We all know those sacks were incredible. One of them was being basically the game-winning play. He had 1.5 sacks against Cleveland. Then you go out and have a 3-sack game against Chicago. 1 sack against Detroit. He ended up missing that game, or he ended up missing part of that game as well. Cincinnati, he really should not have played in that game. He was not 100%, or he was not healthy enough to play in that game. And then you go out the following week, Baltimore. If you remember that Monday, and then you missed that Chargers game because you did not play in that Chargers game. And then that Monday, he tests positive. He clears out on Saturday, goes out on Sunday against Baltimore, has 3.5 sacks. Everyone's watching that game. That's the 4:25 game. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and all that. And then you get the Minnesota game. Again, he was not himself at all. Probably another game he really should not have played in. Did not have a sack. Tennessee, he had 1.5 sacks. And then, obviously, he had one of the sacks, which was the infamous, he was literally getting held by multiple players. He's doing this, and he still goes out and gets a sack. Kansas City, he had 0 sacks. I don't really know if I have an explanation for that. And then you go on, you have a 4-sack game against Cleveland, and holy shit. So, do I think he can do it again? Absolutely. After your Najee take, this is based on your opinion, what do you think TJ ranks on your Steelers defense alum? If you're top 15, can you name them? All right. So real quick, about the Najee thing. I was one of those people that it wasn't that I wasn't happy about it. My issue with the pick was I felt like it was the thought process. Now, yes, it's nice at the fact that he's a 1,000-yard rusher. He's 4th in the NFL in rushing yards, but I also believe he's 2nd in attempts as well. Not his fault, but that's just the case. My issue was you look down the stretch in 2020. You look when that losing streak started to happen. When you lose your last 4 or 5, what happened? Well, we could break this down. The offensive line they weren't as physical as you would have wanted. And then on top of that, the season's over. Andrew Villanueva goes to Baltimore. Kevin Dotson, he started as your left guard. He also has not played since November 14th against Detroit. Marquise Pouncey, who's a Hall of Fame center, retires. You had to release David DeCastro partially because of cap and partially because of that ankle. And then you get Chuks Okorafor. So my thought process was, in this draft class where you have absolute studs in the offensive line, I felt like the thought process is if we're going to fix the run game, fix it with a running back. And I don't think that was the case. I think if you would have been able to go and get yourself one of those stud tackles or guards, and I was one of those people for the longest time wanting Creed Humphrey. Now look at what he's doing in Kansas City. I've been on record. There's video of me saying how bad I want Creed Humphrey. And God, look at what he's doing now for Kansas City. He is a dog, and he's going to be a great center for years to come for him. Now, when they took Najee Harris, and I knew it was going to happen. And one person, and one thing that I saw, and I love the fact that she agreed with me in the fact that it was a week or two before the draft, and the NFL Network did this mock draft thing where it was a bunch of the analysts, and they mocked for different teams. And Aditi Kinkhabwala, who gets absolute shit for God knows what reason. Well, okay, I know the reason. Part of it, some of the questions might be in, but I feel like she's always in a lose-lose situation. But she had the same thought process as me. And I'm like, thank you. Finally, someone understands. And then we look at this year with this offensive line. You get Dan Moore, who's, I believe, a 4th or 5th round pick. You get Kevin Dotson again. He's a second or third, I think a second-year player. Kendrick Green, who's a 3rd round pick. He's a rookie. Then you had to bring in Trey Turner, which, let's be honest, he has really not been all that well since that when he was in Carolina, when he was a part of that Super Bowl team. And then you get Chukwu Okorafor, who's a 3rd-year player, which, I mean, And I felt it was just, and you look at this offensive line, and I understand it takes time to gel. That has always been one of my big focal points. It's going to take time to gel. But when you're kind of in a win now mode, you need to get the best of the best. And now I kind of questioned the Pat Freiermuth pick. I was there in person. I was in Cleveland for that draft. I watched that with my own 2 eyes. And I'm like, interesting. I wasn't mad, but I'm like, okay, interesting. And obviously now that's turned out pretty well because he's been a dog for us as well. But that's kind of my thought process on it. So I wasn't mad, but I just thought that the thought process of how to handle things was wrong in terms of how I feel, because I always feel like the games are won and lost in the trenches. Now, based on defensive alum, now that would be, I don't know if I'll be able to do that off the top of my head, because it's going to take a little bit of time to sit down, really think about it. Obviously, number one is Mean Joe Green. Mean Joe Green, he was the anchor of that steel curtain. He's number one. I'm just off the top of my head, just to name a few players that would be on that list. Obviously, you get Jack Lambert. Obviously, you get you get Rod Woodson. You get Troy Polamalu. You get James Harrison. You get T.J. Watt. He's up. He's starting to creep up there already. You get names like, and like I said, I'm trying to think off the top of my head here. Steelers defensive grades. I'm going to have to... And I know I'm missing some very obvious ones. So you're going to have to bear with me. Mel Blount was another one. Jack Ham, Rod Woodson, L.C. Greenwood. Yeah. Donnie Shell. Or wait, no. Just some... yeah. There were just some... Like here, I want to pull up... this was... from Sports Illustrated, who they had, Jack Butler, Kevin Green, R.I.P. to him, Mel Blount, just guys like that, James Harrison, Rod Woodson, Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, Troy Polamalu, and those boys. But yeah, just that's how I feel. Ryan Clark, no. Mel Blount, yeah, I guess you got to put... Now, I'm not putting Ryan Clark in there. He wasn't an... Now, I do love him as an analyst. But yes, thank you for reminding me about Mel Blount. But no to Ryan Clark. He was good for us, but he not a legend, a Steeler defensive legend. But yeah, that's kind of where things are right now. Cam Hayward, you can make an argument, could be up there at one point of time if he continues on. Now, if we're talking about favorites, defensive players of all time, now we're gonna if you told me to name off some of your favorite defensive players of all time, obviously you still got playing Troy, TJ, guys that were around during my time for the most part. I still add in guys like Joey Porter. I loved Joey Porter. You got to put in Shazier. Kimo von Oelhoffen is a name that not a lot of people mention, but I always loved him. And especially, well, not... He also had the controversial hit that he had against Cincinnati in that wildcard game in 2005, which we all know damn well he did not mean to have that happen to Carson Palmer. But, you know, Bengals fans are just going to bitch and complain. Which, again, I guess I should say this. Congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals on winning the AFC North. I mean, I'm pretty sure I just puked in my mouth having to say that. But congratulations to them. It's their first one in 6 years. They've been through some pretty bad times, but they were able to get Joe Burrow, and they've been an absolute dog. But yeah, it's kind of where I'm at right now in terms of this team. And, you know, just real quick, I might end this a couple minutes earlier than usual, but I do want to say, give you guys a little bit of an update on what's going to be going on here on the channel over the next few months. So what we're going to be doing is, with the football season winding down, yes, we're still going to give you the reactions, the reaction videos up until the Super Bowl, and even the Super Bowl, we'll do that. And then you're going to ask yourself, well, we typically only do reactions to football games. What are we going to do after? Well, we're working on a way to get to where me and Caleb can be in our remote areas and still react to games. We're working on that as we speak, to figure out how to do that, because then we're going to start doing a little bit more reaction videos for the Penguins. I know that's something he's interested in, and, you know, I could just look like a damn buffoon while it'll be roles reversal. He knows his football, so let me not say that, but I'll look like a damn buffoon, just look like a little 4-year-old dancing like a little fucking girl. Excuse my language. But, and then on top of that, now what we're going to be doing is, then we're in full-blown NFL draft mode. We're going to do a lot of videos breaking down some of the top players in this league, or that are going to be coming out in the NFL draft. We got guys like Kenny Pickett. I'm actually working on that video now. I'll be working on that again. So that should be coming out here fairly soon. And then we're going to do all the quarterbacks. We're going to do a bunch of other guys. So there's going to be a lot of content coming out. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, for those as well. MMA. Listen, I might just have to do that. I might have to squeeze in some MMA reactions as well for UFC. And then TJ Black Gaming says, imagine Troy and Harrison with Cam and TJ. Oh my God, we'd be the best D-line in the NFL. Oh, well, just if you look at it this way. Yeah, if you have Cam Hayward in the middle, you have Cam Hayward in the middle. On the outside, you get James Harrison and T.J. Watt. And what's nice, too, is the fact that they were able to, they played opposite sides of each other. And when we figure it out, I will hit you up, Jeff. I'll make sure to hit you up, and we'll figure something out for that. But, yeah, that would just be insanity, that defense. And then on top of that, if you get Minka and Troy back there, and then for corners. And another thing that I didn't even get to mention is the fact that Joe Hayden got put in the COVID list. Deontay Johnson got put in the COVID list. Kendrick Green got put in the COVID list. So the COVID outbreak, not outbreak, but the COVID bug is still hitting Pittsburgh, and which is not good, especially if we're trying to make the playoffs, which, again, I've been on record. If we don't make the playoffs, it's not going to hurt my feelings like it did in 2018. So I just want this to be addressed. This is my first live stream of yours I watched. You can now call me a full-time viewer. #NodyGang. My guy! I appreciate that. It's all love. Me and him had a nice little conversation one night as we were weaseling at work. Hashtag, you might as well go ahead and #NodyGang, #WeaselGang as well. But yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end things off a little bit earlier tonight. I guess, like I said, I got that Kenny Pickett video I want to work out. If I could get it out tonight, I will. But if not, I'll have that out within the next couple of days. And then we're just going to start trying to crank them out. So be sure, again, to have those notifications on, subscribe, all that. And let me go through my thing one last time. If you like these live streams, if you like the content that we're bringing here on the channel, make sure to smash that like button, turn on the rest subscribe button, or click that rest subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, drop a comment, and also if you have a Facebook, smash Revolution Radio Live on Facebook. And if you don't have a Facebook, that's fine. You can follow us on Twitter at Rev Radio Live. And until then, give you guys about another minute or so. But other than that, I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I hope you guys stay safe during the New Year's. I know for some people, they stayed at home. They were safe. Then there were some people that destroyed the liver. Well, just like someone else in the content or somewhere in the comments. Jeff. And then it was me. I was hitting in the casino. So, but yeah. Other than that, we're going to end things off a little early. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's a hell of a show. And hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Jeff, I better see, what is it? You said tomorrow? So if I'm at work tomorrow, in fact, but yeah, till then, see you guys next week or whenever next time I do a video. Peace out.